Terrific. What a great turnout on the day after Family Day weekend. So first of all, probably most importantly, thank you very much KPMG and Ozench Abraham for giving us the space and hosting this evening. Their commitment to gender diversity is really quite incredible, and we really appreciate the partnership, the brainstorming, the idea sharing, but also hosting for us on some of these occasions. So thank you very much, KPMG. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Our mentorship program is critically important. We have a pretty quick agenda this morning. I'll give the really quick welcoming remarks. Then we'll have some conversation around mentorship and then some of the basics of the program. In terms of WCM, we have 3 strategic priorities that we really work hard in order to accomplish. The first is building the pipeline of women at every single level, starting in high school all the way up to executive. And that's probably critically important in terms of our overall strategic objectives. The second one is really around knowledge and research, and a lot of our own research moves into that, and then sharing that knowledge base with all of our members and sponsors becomes critically important. And the third is advocacy. When we look at WCM on the broader sense, we really see it as a reflection of the industry coming together, recognizing that each one of the firms has their own D&I or diversity and inclusion strategy, but that each one of those firms also believes, like we do, that if we come together, we can achieve the mission of WCM, accelerating gender diversity faster and with better results. The mentorship program itself has really long roots for WCM, and it's ebbed and flowed over the years. I, in fact, was a protege in 1999. I was sitting in equity research at BMO in technology, Canadian technology semiconductors. And in those days, we actually had a group of mentors. So we had 1 mentor and 3 proteges. And my mentor in that group, Maureen Stapleton, is someone who I've continued to know over the last 20 years. And over those 20 years, WCM has had almost 800 proteges in its program. So it's really touched the lives of a lot of women on Bay Street and within the broader financial community. So thank you, everyone in this room, for participating, both as a mentor and also as a protege. I think it's incredibly important for the industry. And now I have the greatest pleasure to pass it over to Mari Jensen. Mari holds many titles for us at WCM. She has her day job where she is Director of Institutional FX Sales at Scotiabank. She has her WCM title as past chair and current board member, having given extraordinarily. And then for me personally, I've known Mari for a very long time, and I can't think of anyone who can talk better about mentorship. Since the first day I met Mari, she has always been an incredible mentor, giving well beyond what anybody would expect, reaching women across every single level of their careers, and really always giving and giving. And so I'm thrilled that you're here with us tonight, Mari. Thank you for giving the opening remarks.
Thank you, Camilla. Those are really kind words. Hello, mentors and proteges. I'm thrilled to be here today to kick off the 2019 WCM Mentorship Program. One of the key roles that a mentor plays in the mentoring relationship is sharing the information that they have gained through their experience. So we have about 15 minutes together today, and I want to spend it by sharing with you some of my experiences that I've had in mentoring and what I've learned from them. So in other words, doing some mentoring and on mentoring. We'll leave some time at the end for questions, and please feel free to ask me about my career, about my experience on the board of WCM, or any questions on mentorship. My first experience as a mentor was when I was working in institutional sales in Scotiabank's wealth management arm. At the time, I had just started my first permanent position, which was in Toronto after doing a year of rotations in Vancouver. I'd been in my position for only a really short period of time when I got a cold call out of the blue from a young man who was interested in a career in wealth management. So my first thought was, wow, you really called the wrong person, because I just started in this role and I don't have any contacts in Toronto and I'm really just starting to establish myself. So I really hope for his sake that he had much better and more experienced mentors on his calling list. However, he had some internship experience himself that really interested me to learn about at the UN, and so I agreed to meet with him. It turns out I was wrong that I didn't have something to offer as a mentor. I had completed my MBA in Vancouver and had gone through a job search. I had landed a position in wealth management in a rotation program at Scotiabank, and after 2 rotations I had found the area that really interested me, which was in institutional sales. So I had pitched for a new position to be created in Toronto, wrote the supporting business case, and moved, which meant navigating a new city, finding a new place to live, and getting settled. This young man was also trying to make the move in finance from Vancouver and Toronto, and I realized that I had tons of practical experience that I could share with him, even though I wasn't established in my new role. So the man in question ended up getting a job in real estate investment in Toronto and remains a very good friend to this day. He's also now my go-to when I have mentors who have an interest in real estate, which is outside my area of expertise. After spending 4 years in wealth management, I moved over to Scotia Capital in their rotation program. It was there that I learned about WCM. I knew that I really wanted to do something to give back to the finance community, and I wanted to do something that was really personally meaningful to me. I found that opportunity with WCM's high school liaison program. I had taken a downgrade in position to go back into a rotation program on the other side of the business, on the sell side, so I found myself as a junior in a new role. However, speaking to high school students didn't require that I be a capital markets expert. It just demanded being able to share my experiences with them and how I got to where I was. I found it particularly rewarding speaking at schools with mixed socioeconomic backgrounds. I had supported myself through my undergrad working at Scotiabank and completed my degree over a very long 8 years. So I was very aware that it took more than just hard work to get to where I was, and I was eager to share my experiences in applying for scholarships and in balancing work and school. In fact, it was through high school liaison that I met a very bright and ambitious student and became one of her early mentors. So I'm thrilled that that student is now one of my colleagues in FX at Scotiabank and also the co-chair of this program, Alex Schroeder. So you'll hear from her after. Alongside volunteering with High School Liaison, I became a protege in the WCM Mentorship program. At this time, I was an associate in corporate FX sales. My WCM mentor managed a sales team at another bank, Suzanne Pavlik at RBC, who's been a terrific mentor. I asked her what she looked for in deciding which of her staff was ready for promotion. I gained some excellent insight into the factors that would be important for me to build my case to my boss to become AD. So this included my sales results year over year, my sales results against my targets, the coaching and mentoring I was doing for new rotation program recruits, and then the volunteer work I was doing with WCM. So ironically, I was working late one night, building my business case, and she came up and tapped me on the shoulder and told me I was being put up for promotion. So I was almost disappointed that I didn't get to practice my pitch on her. But all of the efforts were not in vain because, of course, as we all know, anyone who works for one of the banks knows that these promotions go up to a committee, and you again have to build your case to this committee and then get approved, and you're not always approved on your first try. So all of the data that I put together was very useful in getting my promotion that year. But my WCM mentor's insight was absolutely priceless. For the past 10 years now, she's been a key person with whom I've bounced off ideas, discussed career concerns, and just asked for general advice. And I've tried my best to pay it forward, mentoring many colleagues and WCM members at levels from co-op student to more senior levels. And not surprisingly, promotion has often been a popular topic of conversation. So I've talked about how mentorship involves the sharing of experience, but in order to create the right environment to share that experience, it's key to build a mutually rewarding relationship. One thing that I've learned over 10 years of mentoring is that I've learned as much from my proteges as they may have learned from me. I'll give you a few examples. When I was chair of WCM High School Liaison, I recruited a number of university students to be on the committee. And I became an informal mentor to one of them. She'd had the good fortune to have traveled extensively with her family and had recently been to Greece. I told her that I was planning a trip there shortly, and she emailed me her Santorini highlights, including a particularly memorable restaurant in Ia that I ended up going to twice. So this developed into a tradition that's lasted for many years now, where we get together for dinner and discuss both career and travel. So I felt that she had really helped me. My former protégés have ended up at various banks or fund managers in various areas of capital markets, a few of them outside capital markets, and they've in turn shared their experiences with me and have become part of my network. The message that I hope that you take away today is that there's always someone who can benefit from your experience, even if you're early in your career or in a new role. All you really need is 1 or 2 years more experience than them, some active listening skills, and a desire to help by sharing your experiences. I mentioned the things that I've learned from past mentors and protégés, but really the best thing that I've gained is some incredibly rewarding relationships. Some have been short and sweet, limited to the duration of the mentorship program, and that's totally okay. Others have developed into lifelong friendships, and others into sponsorship relationships. So I wish you all the very best in the 2019 mentorship program, and I hope that you come out of it feeling more empowered, enriched, and fulfilled, whether you are a mentor or a protégé. Thank you. I think we do have some time for Q&A, so if anyone has any questions. I didn't want to stand up here for 15 minutes and talk, so.
What's the best piece of career advice you've ever received?
This is a good question. The best piece of career advice I've ever received. I think it was that early experience that I talked about where I know this is a bit of a cliche. We're all told that you can't just work hard and expect people to notice. So that tends to be my personality, and I think that early advice I got from my first WCM mentor, where she said, like, you want to get promoted, you build a case. You put together the data, you pitch it to your boss. That was an excellent piece of advice. I think the early part of building the relationship is super important. So I guess for mentors, my advice would be, don't just jump into giving advice. It's not really about giving advice. It's more, teaching to fish versus giving the fish, so to speak. So mentors, it's great to spend time to get to know your protégé, not leap into just advice giving, and just really get to know them through active listening and just developing the dialogue. And same with protégés. Protégés, there's always something that you're giving to your mentor as well, though you may not realize it. And it's not necessarily information content, by the way. Your mentors are often very motivated just by helping you. So just being there to really listen and learn from their experiences is very rewarding to them. Any other questions? Well, I won't delay you from hearing from our co-chairs in the WCM Mentorship Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mari. So now, in about 1 minute, I'm going to welcome our two co-chairs of the Mentorship Committee to the podium to give you the overview of what the WCM Mentor and Protégé program is really all about. There are some separate offshoots of the overall mentorship program, including accessibility, which is really some incredible work gets done out of that. And thank you to BMO who repeatedly year after year sponsors that program. But for anyone in a special offshoot program, the entire mentorship program is also fully en route, and then you'll receive some little bits of information about your own program separately. Because WCM does run 5 mentorship programs altogether, so there are lots of different offshoots. And with that little intro, I'm going to welcome Melissa Vukovic, who is co-chair of our mentorship committee, as well as Alexandra Schroeder, who's also co-chair of our mentorship committee. Alex is an AD at Scotiabank in FX sales, and Melissa is an analyst in fixed income at BMO, and both of them have done a tremendous job in terms of going through all of the applications, all of the matching process, dealing constantly with our office in terms of organizing all the pieces of the entire mentorship program. So I welcome them both now to the podium to be able to run through all the pieces of the mentorship program.
Thanks, Camilla. On behalf of Melissa and myself, we wanted to formally welcome all of you to the 2019 WCM Professional Development Mentorship Program. And to those of you joining us via teleconference, we will have all the material available to everyone if you'd like to review the slides or the presentation after the fact tomorrow. So this is our 21st year of the Professional Development Mentorship Program, if you can believe it or not. And as Camilla mentioned, we're close to 800 past mentees and mentors in the program over those years. And this year, we're excited to announce that we have 71 pairs. The bulk of that comes from our Toronto chapter, but we also have chapters across the country in pairs coming from Vancouver, Victoria, Calgary, Montreal, and as well the Advanced Ability Stream Camilla just mentioned. I wanted to just take a quick moment also to thank our invaluable mentors who do volunteer their time year after year and do see the value in mentoring and providing insight and advice to proteges in the program. And from a personal standpoint, I have been a protege in the program, and I've always asked my mentor, I feel like I'm gaining so much insight and having such thoughtful dialogue that I'm always the recipient of the benefits of this program, but really the mentors get so much out of it as well, hearing from experiences from people outside of their line of business and also what more junior people in the capital markets industry are experiencing in their careers right now. So I encourage you, it's definitely a two-way relationship, and both mentors and mentees usually have tremendous success. Before Melissa goes into the timeline for the program and what we have in store event-wise, I just wanted to give a few tidbits of advice to the proteges and mentees and how to best manage the program. So on the protege side of things, you guys are in the driving seat. The most important thing here is you make the relationship what you put into it. And it's up to you to manage the relationship, schedule meetings with your mentors, come prepared to those meetings. Perhaps you're sending itineraries or topics of discussion before the meetings, but really you're going to get the most out of it if you put the time in to plan and have thoughtful conversations surrounding the goals and topics you'd like to discuss with your mentor. And on that point, when you're having discussions with your mentor, the conversations you're having are confidential. So if you're able to be honest and open with your mentor, they will be able to provide you more succinct, useful advice. On the mentor side of things, as I said, the mentee should drive the relationship, but Mari also highlighted that the best piece of advice for mentors is to be an active listener and really listen and provide thought-provoking questions to your mentee as opposed to constant advice from the start. Melissa and I will be reaching out once or twice this year to touch base on how the relationship is going, so feel free to reach out to ourselves or the WCM office if you are having any difficulties contacting your respective pair or if anything of that nature does come up.
So that brings us to what we have in store for this year. So as you all know, this program pairs a protege with a mentor from a different firm for a 12-month period and provides coaching sessions along the way. So we are really excited to incorporate some fresh perspectives and formats that will be new to everyone in the program, new proteges and returning proteges and mentors. So first, we are offering the Facet 5 personality assessment to the proteges who have not completed this assessment in prior years. So this is the assessment that brings awareness to your natural leadership style, and it quantitatively scores your rankings between 5 personality traits and 13 sub-factors, and will combine the rankings into one holistic family profile. So having this tool helps develop self-awareness. It helps show you where your strengths and challenges lie, and it even shows you how your personality might be perceived by people that score differently on the spectrum than you do. So understanding this, this report is really valuable. We are going to distribute the link via email tomorrow, and you have until March 13th to complete it. So that brings us to our first event of the year. It's the Protege Skill Build in April. And this focuses on your results and how to interpret them. And Susan Richardson from Felix Global will be heading up that debrief. So we invite the proteges to share the results of your Facet 5 with your mentors. This is a great starting point for one of your meetings. In May, we will all get together again for a joint professional development skill build. The second protege skill build will be in July, and that is focused on creating a 3 to 5 year career plan with Allison Talaco, who has 15 years of experience in the industry as a career solutions consultant. The final event of the year will be in September, where we will all get together again for a joint event for both mentors and proteges. So you will receive calendar invites shortly as soon as we confirm the locations for all of these events. So look out for those in your email. We strongly encourage in-person attendance to all of the events that we have planned this year, just to get the most out of this experience and to be able to share these resources with your mentor throughout your monthly meetings. As a reminder, you received the mentorship handbook in the initial matching email that we sent out back in December, and we recommend that you keep this handy as a good reference. It's a good guide for laying out the relationship timeline and provides direction for topics and just keeps you, helps keep you on track in general. So at that point, that is the end of the programming for the year. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
What percentage of the people that are in the program are actually here tonight? And how many do you think will be watching the webcast?
So there's 71 pairs in the program this year, and 50 of them are from the Toronto chapter, so I think over 2/3, 3/4 that's a good estimate.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the formal programming for this evening. Please take the time to find your mentor or protege if you haven't already, and enjoy the networking. Thank you very much.